friend. How are you doing today? My name is Mary. This is Happilyeveresch, and today I want to chat about my Friday reads, what I plan on reading this weekend, and then also sharing my Book of the Month Club picks with you all. Start off with my Book of the Month Club picks just because I'm excited to share them with you all. For January, I did pick two books, the first one being The Removed by Brandon Hobson. This author has written another book that I know has gotten a little buzz called Where the Dead Sit Talking, but I was very interested to read this. This book seems to deal with a lot in the like 300 pages that this is. I'm not going to go into all of it, but I think it's dealing with police brutality, the Native experience, grief, trauma, like historical trauma. It seems to explore a lot. I think there's also kind of like a magical realism element to this story. I'm really excited to give it a try. It sounds like a book that I could really love and enjoy, and I have a goal to read more Native authors' work, and this was just an opportunity that I wanted to take from Book of the Month Club. So hopefully I will have a better synopsis once I read it. But yeah, it just seems to do so many things, and I'm very interested to see how the author does it in this relatively short little book. So very interested in this one, and I think the cover is really stellar. I love the colors, but like the dark backdrop, I think it's a very intriguing cover. It definitely makes you want to pick the book up. And then I selected another book. This is an author that I've read and really enjoyed their work, and it is Jane Harper's The Survivors. I've read both of her books in the Erin Falk mystery series. I'm really itching for her to put another book out in that series, but I will give her standalone here a try. Jane Harper's works are always really atmospheric, and the mystery is often very much tied to the land, and so I'm interested to see what she does in the story. I know nothing about it. I just picked it up because it's Jane Harper, and I really enjoy her writing and how atmospheric her books are and how her prose is so tied to the place. So I'm very excited to give this one a go. All right, let's talk about what I've read this week and what I plan to read this weekend. So I have finished one book, and that's Tuesday's Gone by Nikki French. This is the second in the Frida Klein mystery series, and this book has definitely solidified that I will be continuing on with this series. I am so wrapped up in these characters. Frida is a wonderful main character. She is such a complex person. She's at face value very reserved and cautious, but she also just has this like warmth for the people around her, for her friends, but also just this like deep care for what is right and seeking truth and seeking justice in a lot of ways. I am just so enveloped in these people's lives already, and that's really what solidifies me wanting to continue on with mystery series. But also the plots are super intriguing, and I'm very interested in like those plotty aspects as well. Really need to start with book one in this series, in my opinion, because it seems like there's going to be a big arc throughout all 8 or 9 of the books in this series, and yeah, I'm just so happy that I'm picking that up. The audiobooks are phenomenal. All I wanted to do was listen, and I loved it. Great, really solid 4-star read. After finishing up that audiobook, I started a new one, and I started a nonfiction, and that's Leadership: Lessons from the Presidents for Turbulent Times by Doris Kearns Goodwin. This book follows 4 presidents: Abraham Lincoln, Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, and Lyndon Johnson, and how they've become the leaders that they are, the important moments in their lives. I think we're going to explore all 4 men kind of before they came into power, and then like defining presidential moments and kind of their legacies. But really the thing that our author is exploring is leadership, what makes leaders, and we're just kind of exploring that question. I was, like many people, I'm sure, overwhelmed and saddened, and just having a lot of heavy feelings. I needed a little hope in leadership, that there can be goodness that comes out of leading, and so I felt like it was the time. It was the time to go to the written word and explore that. yeah, I'm interested to see how Doris Kearns Goodwin explores these men, the good and the bad. I'm ready to see it. I know that she's done extensive writings, I believe, on all 4 of those men. So this, I think, is more like parsed down and obviously kind of looking at the topic of leadership. But I'm about an hour into the audio book. It's a pretty long audiobook, you know, a hefty nonfiction, but one that I felt called and needed to read in the hard times that we're going through as Americans, and really, you know, all over the world. So I'm reading this on audio. It'll probably take me a couple weeks to get through it, but I'm ready. I'm ready for the ride. So we've read the introduction, and I'm being introduced to Abraham Lincoln. So yes, glad to be reading this one. And then for the book that I'm physically reading, I featured this in my Try a Chapter tag. If you're interested, it'll be linked down below. But I'm reading, it doesn't have the dust jacket, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I got started and was doing really well, and then life happened and not much physical reading happened on my part. So I'm like a third of the way into this, and I'm really enjoying it. It is got a good and very interesting plot, but also really gorgeous writing, and is very contemplative in its own right. We are following our main protagonist, Addie LaRue, who has basically made a deal with a demon, the devil, a dark god. I don't know how you'd want to describe that character, but she's basically made this deal to live forever, but to be anonymous, essentially. No one ever remembers her, and it's what it would be like to live hundreds of years never being remembered. It's very like contemplative, like I'm saying, in that manner, but then there's also like a plot line that's kind of pulling you through as well. So I do hope to get a good chunk of this done, because my reading, like I said, my physical reading has just taken a dip this past week. So I would love to honestly finish this book this weekend, but we will see. I will have to kind of kick myself into gear a little bit more if that is to happen. And what I plan to read next. So I was at the library yesterday and I picked up the 2nd volume of March. I read the 1st volume last year and really enjoyed it, and so I want to continue on. This one is a little thicker. I think this will be like what I pick up either if I need like a break from Addie LaRue, because I can probably read this in 1 or 2 sittings, or maybe what I read right after to kind of like give myself a little graphic novel treat. So I'm really excited to read this one. Deals with really hard topics, but is a really accessible and way to like learn about history and learn about John Lewis' life and his work in the civil rights movement. So yes, I'm excited that they had this at the library and I was able to pick it up. And then what I hope to pick up after finishing Addie LaRue for like my next big read is Transcendent Kingdom by Jesse. This is my book club pick for this month, which I'm really excited about, and I want to get it done way before book club on the 30th. So this is the one I hope to pick up next. It's not even 300 pages, so I hope that this one will be a quicker read for me. I'm very intrigued by this one, and I've also heard really good things about the audiobook, so I might check that out. Though her writing is so lovely, I sometimes think that I would maybe want to chew on it a little more by reading it with my eyes. So we'll see though. I know Bonnie Turner, well, I think Bonnie Turner is the narrator and she's phenomenal. So we'll see what format I choose for that. But that's everything that I have read and that I plan to read over the next few days. Please chat below in the comments with me what you're planning to pick up this weekend. Do you have any thoughts, feelings, emotions on the books that I shared? I'd love to chat down in the comments about all of that with you. Please like this video if you enjoyed. Please subscribe if you want to see more bookish content from me, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.